Welcome to the Uproot Project podcast, where we dig deep to uncover and dismantle toxic beliefs about God, ourselves, and each other. Our goal is to replant new insights in the fertile soil of wisdom and love, fostering personal growth and transformation. Join us as we explore new ways of thinking and living in a world of complexity and diversity.
Hello and welcome back to the Uproot Project podcast. I am Whitney, pronouns she, her, and why not?
I am Christian, she, her.
I am Chris, he, him.
Awesome. And so this is part 2 of last week's conversation about vulnerability. And so just to have a moment before we jump in, we're just going to take a breath. Let the mindfulness moment from the last episode carry you. We're just going to do like 2 quick breaths here. Okay. So everybody get settled in your seats and in your body. You don't even got to close your eyes for this if you don't want to. But if you are in a space where you feel like you need to, we support you. Close those eyes. Everybody, we're going to do a deep inhale and then we're going to hold at the top and then we're going to let that thing out slow. Okay. Everybody together. Let's inhale. Hold it. Release it slow through the mouth. That was a good sigh. Let's do one more and let it out with a sigh like that. Inhale. Hold. Out with a sigh. Or a mumble. All right, y'all. So we are going to hop in and we're going to hop in with a quick recap of what we talked about last episode. So it's going to be real quick. What you also should know is that it's been a couple weeks for us too. So we recapping for y'all just as much as we are recapping for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But also
What we say now?
Right. We've been in this room and we've actually been having tough conversations in the room because that's what happens when you are in close partnership with people that you trust to be safe and vulnerable. So if you notice, you're like, oh, the energy feels a little different from one episode to another. It's been 2 weeks. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Life been life.
Yes. And we was discussing life or discussing, whichever you prefer.
That's a fun word.
It's disgusting life.
You know.
Now, there was a G
I'm sorry.
that I didn't put in there, but I'm not mad at it. I accept your G. So yeah, if you just notice that the energy feels a little bit different, it might be. And I don't know, roll with it. And if it causes resistance in your spirit, roll with the resistance. That's what we're going to do.
Roll with it and ride.
My brain absolutely went, know when to hold them. When to fold them. Know when to walk away. Know when to run.
Well, I mean, they have similar energy, but definitely different songs.
Sitting at the table.
What is Roll With Me, Henry? Oh, that's from Sister Act. That's why I know that song.
Why wouldn't I count my money while I'm sitting at the table? That makes sense. Like, let's count our money before we walk away.
Yeah, it's like you don't want people to know how much you have.
I mean, I guess, or like, are you not trying to insult the person that gave it to you?
Probably.
Because you're the gambling man. So like,
This is a poker thing.
I don't play poker. Listen,
I don't have a poker face.
I can because I'm a trained actress, but what I don't have is a propensity to gamble. Gambling pokes my heart. Didn't we go to Harrah's in New Orleans like years ago? Wasn't that you?
We walked in and walked out.
No, we ate a buffet.
Did we?
Yes, there was a buffet.
I mean,
the
actual.
Oh no,
actual casino.
Listen. I remember I had a $5 limit because again,
I don't know if I did anything.
I don't know that you did either.
I don't think
you played. I was like,
I was like,
do this. No, I was like, I'm gonna do this. I had a $5 limit. I think I walked out at $3.50. I was like, I don't. This doesn't feel.
Casinos feel depressing to me. I played a little bit when we went to Vegas on a machine.
Yes.
I mean, like we were leaving the hotel because every hotel has a casino.
Absolutely.
We were leaving the hotel and it's like, well, we're here, do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I played, I don't know if it was $5. I don't think it was $5 full dollars.
Okay, so let's recap our last or the first part of our conversation. So one of the top things or first things that we talked about was how like masking is really exhausting. And so we talked a little bit about like how that's true socially, yes, and in your family, but like how especially it can be true in professional settings,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And depending on how, like, what your identities are, the
Right.
intersectionality that causes the feeling of needing to mask,
Mhm.
that is already its own exhaustion, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And then so by the time you get to getting through your day, you don't have a whole lot left because
All out of spoons,
you're all out of freaking spoons,
Mhm.
soup spoons, teaspoons,
ladles,
tablespoons,
Nothing.
ladles, scoops,
Cups
no spoon.
empty.
just gone.
empty. Okay. And then we also talked about like what are we talked about what are the consequences of prolonged masking. So
Yeah.
how constantly being in the state of not functioning from a place of authenticity
Yep.
is it can cause depression and anxiety and what we have come to know as imposter syndrome, which
But
I
it's
don't know
a
if
little
I
bit
don't
more
think I-
complicated. Than that.
Yeah. Because sometimes it's just internalized other shit.
Yeah, it is.
Internalized
Internalized
white
other shit.
supremacy,
That's a diagnostic.
internalized patriarchy, internalized other
Mhm.
systems from which we're existing
Or
that we
just a realization that everything sucks.
right, but like we've learned to see ourselves through these lenses that are not native to us.
Yeah.
Right. And so
Right.
we're seeing ourselves as how our ops see us, if you will.
Okay.
Mm.
And then it's like we're not measuring up, but
Right.
that's the wrong lens.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wrong lens. That's an external lens, not an
Right.
internal
You
one.
need new glasses, bitch.
Period. And but the thing about it is constantly masking. One of the things we talked about does not only have psychological
Right.
impacts, but it also has physical. So I know Christian and I both shared some personal stories about what masking feels like and looks like, and even talking about like the physical, like I done told a story of how I burnt out at like 20. How old was I?
26, 27. How are you?
That's not right.
I'm guessing. I just threw out.
I'm trying. I was like, was I married yet?
Oh,
think I was married
the first
yet.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first one I was like 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was 24, right before
Yeah.
25, which is a really early age to burn out. But then also it's happened recently, right? Where I didn't necessarily feel like burnt out, but my body was like,
Bitch, we're done.
we will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Tried.
We will actually kill you.
Tried. Attempted murder.
Attempted murder because my body was like, yo, this type of stress you're experiencing, this is not sustainable.
Shut it down.
Return to homeostasis. Or we will return you to Jesus.
I mean, that's
Damn.
the road. It felt like we was
Right.
on that road.
Yep. Yeah, and so like that also can leave you feeling disconnected from people. Like when
Yeah.
you feel like you can't actually show up as yourself and be vulnerable as your real self. So it can leave you disconnected from the people in your social circles, but also the people in your family, those who are closest to you.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the other thing we talked about was the way that like cultural conditioning, which she kind of mentioned in like all the different identities that we have, and also just generally childhood and the way that we're socialized to behave and how we are socialized to not talk back or not show any negative emotions, not be a burden, not rock the boat, right? And that is like that's a type of masking that is outside just being Black or just being queer or just being a woman, right? It has all of that, none of that. It's got the religious aspects of it that sometimes, well, at least it did for me. This is what we discussed. It has all of those that cause you to retreat into yourself in a way that just doesn't allow you to be who you actually are or to even know who that is. And then the last thing we talked about was just the fact that that there is life outside of masking.
Yes.
That there is an option to live more authentically or as authentically as you possibly can in safety, because we know what kind of world we live in. More
Live in a
authentically,
society.
more authentically as yourself, and what that can feel like, what that opportunity is, that if you keep pushing through the discomfort of taking off the masks, there is light at the end of the tunnel that is not a train.
Come on, Toronto, not a train.
Right.
You heard me. I loved it.
I made it work.
New word, bitch. Toronto.
Runnels.
Add that to your lexicon.
There you go.
Smoke it.
The tunnel is a thing. I was close. I just added an R.
Well, chunnel is.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just added an R. It's fine.
But you said trunnel.
I did.
You added a T. And then you turned.
I just added an R.
I like it either way. I don't really give a fuck. It's audio. We're
It's
not
spicy.
spelling any
I
of
love
this.
it.
We're going to let the transcription service figure that part
Got
out.
some capsaicin on it. It's
You know what
spicy.
I'm
I
saying?
love it.
Spicy.
Little
Mhm.
spicy.
I enjoy
No
it.
ranch dressing.
No ranch.
Oh.
That is so funny.
Ranch dress.
Every time I listen to that clip, I crack
I got a text about that specifically. I forgot to share it with you. Yes. My business partner texted me and was like, y'all are killing on season 2. And she was like, and that Rance Allen
That is
whole segment took me out.
funniest thing.
And I was like, that's because you
ever.
two are a church kid.
Right.
That was so funny to me.
Ranch Allen.
I was crying at my desk listening to that.
I need to go back and listen to that episode.
That
Man,
That's the one I haven't listened to yet. I
Really?
listened to the rest of them. I haven't listened to that one.
okay, yeah.
Y'all got training.
Y'all got to go back.
Hobbies.
If this is the first or second episode you listening to, you need to listen to the rest of the season. Okay,
This is actually
This season is fire.
it's fine.
I don't understand.
season was good, but this one
Going
What you
on.
have to know is this is coming from 3 people who are very self-critical.
highly.
Yes.
So we're telling y'all this fire. We not just bullshit.
It's a hot fire.
So hopefully we can keep it up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hopefully you walk away from this episode feeling like
Keep it up. Keep it up.
Yes. I hope every
But not like
episode
flamed
feels
up.
like a warm hug to you.
warm hug. But now that we are here back in this episode, part 2 of our episode, let's talk a little bit more about social media and comparison culture and how that discourages us from being vulnerable.
And authentic.
Yeah.
So I read, you already know what's happening. I read a book and it was
I was
basically
like,
about,
know the book.
no, I read a book and it was about like mommy bloggers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And this is like a thriller mystery kind of thing. So people do die. But the overarching theme of the book is if you don't have kids, you probably are aware of the fact that mom's got a high ass bar. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they've had a high ass bar for forever, but 2025 and especially like the early 2000s and the mid 2000s, there's all the mommy bloggers and the people who are putting their content out there talking about, this is what I do for my kid. This is what I do for my kid. I make their lunch every day. I cut their lunch into shapes. We do crafts. We don't watch TV. We're
Bento boxes.
bento boxes, right? We're going on a nature hike. We're doing this. We're going to Disneyland. Me and my kids travel the whole world in a Winnebago, right? Like you see all of this content and constantly you're looking at it going, I need to be, I should be. My kids don't get as much. My kids don't get enough. What if my kids don't blah, blah. And like, this book was specifically about the mommy sphere area of the internet, but I feel like that's true for everything. Like it's normal for people who are producing content to produce content that highlights the best part of their lives. And one of the biggest parts of this book is the fact that their lives don't actually look like this.
Yeah.
Like one of the girls, her daughter has diabetes. And so she's always making these like, the glycemic index friendly foods. Her daughter hates them all. Everything she makes, her daughter hates. She has to overcook everything to make it look good for the internet. And so they end up throwing all of the food that she makes away and then eating pizza and chicken nuggets and shit. Because this stuff is fake, right? Yeah. This stuff is fake. And I think it's easy for us to forget that the people that we're looking at online and even the stuff we put online is heavily curated. And if you saw any one person in their actual full real life, you would be like, oh, you just a nigga.
You're right. And I think that's what that happens.
Nigga.
There is a spiritualist that I have been following for many years, and she has recently she's going through a divorce with her husband, but like her husband has manipulated her and the business and staged a coup and robbed her house and like they were separated. Robbed the house, did root work on the house, like all of these things, right? So all these things that she's been kind of keeping to herself, have come out and come to light. And she's really, and I applaud her so deeply because she's really done mask off.
Yeah.
And just been like, I'm telling the full story. Like I am telling all the parts that I missed, the parts I did not miss, but I did not talk about, like all and how I got into this situation, but she's giving the details because she's just like, at this point, I don't want him to do this to anybody else. So here are all the things, and the reaction that she has gotten is largely supportive. Like for the most part, she has built a community of people who are empathetic and just really see her, right?
Yeah.
But then there are the comments that are like, but you spiritual. Why did your guys let this happen? And like all of these like, why isn't your life perfect? And she was just like, yeah, everybody's spiritual because we all got a spirit. I am also human.
Right.
And so like this moment, I actually needed this for growth, like the development of my soul. needed this because I was devaluing myself enough to like even be with this man to begin with. Like game didn't recognize game, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, yeah, why did y'all expect her not to be human? Like when?
We do this a lot.
We do.
And I mean, one of the most obvious spaces, at least as deconstructing Christians, was definitely pastors. And the tendency to idolize them, put them on a pedestal, presume that they could do no wrong, and that any quote unquote wrong you thought they did, it wasn't really wrong, right? Like all the hoops that we the mental gymnastics that we go through,
Right.
making it so that they can continue to be, superhuman or non-human, whatever you want to call it, so that we can keep them on their pedestals. And like that's not healthy for us because we're minimizing ourselves.
Yes.
And that's not healthy for them because them niggas is human.
They are human.
Exactly.
They even forget.
Right.
Girl, they forget.
Sometimes the biggest ego you will find, the most hubris you will find is in a pulpit.
Well.
Yeah, with short ass members.
Yeah, well, then there's that.
Or revisionist ones.
Right. So if you touched on something that I was going to post in an article, also, newsflash, by the time this come out, I may have a Substack. So
period.
Subscribe.
I only vaguely know what that is, but I'm excited because I know you wanted to do it. Yay!
Trying to get the clap in the mic.
There you go. Awesome.
Hercules.
I'm so excited. I'm glad you move forward on that.
Yeah,
As a person who reads Substacks, I'm glad this is happening.
Yeah.
Yay! One of us knows what this means.
Facebook is shit, so yeah.
Yeah, well, that's not untrue.
But yeah, so one of the things that I was going to talk about in the article is that one of the things that we do is that we love the idea of God, but we hate the reality of God. And one of the things that we know that to be true is that we often, when God deals with us and we talk about like the idea of the incarnation, that God is wrapped in human flesh and it comes to Jesus. And it's a very noble concept, very poignant and salient narrative that we could use to better understand ourselves and the complexity of our divinity and humanity existing in the same space. If we used it for that, that would be great.
But
throughout history, we've used the incarnation of God coming down as Jesus. We've leaned into the divinity and so made God other.
Yep.
And when we make God other, we open ourselves up. Well, when we make God other, we make him into an abstract idea and ideas we can control and use to our agendas and our advantages. But when we have to deal with God as a tangible reality that holds us accountable to live like he lived.
Yeah.
That's human.
That's very human. And there's a responsibility attached to that we can't necessarily control.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't control Jesus. Jesus couldn't control. That's why they killed him.
Well,
Wow. I'm just saying, if you read the text.
I mean, that's what happened.
That's what happened. He pissed them niggas off. He pissed the state off. And they killed him. Deal with that as you may. But
let that be a warning.
Let it be a warning. So, when you're dealing with a God that can't be controlled or dares to show up outside of your vision for what you think the world should look like, we end up very much hating God when he shows up. When he shows up. Because if we're too invested in the narrative.
Take your time.
If we're too invested in our narrative and God shows up outside of our narratives, we end up crucifying him.
I need something to throw.
Girl, let me dig in my purse. Hold on.
I can't reach that pillow.
Oh, I just put that pillow down.
Yes, nigga.
I don't want to hit the mic.
No.
Look.
Proverbial throwing.
Look. I mean, Whitney said this. Was it last season or this season? I don't remember. But like the way we've constructed religiosity, especially in the West, you don't really need God.
You don't?
No, you don't.
You don't really need him. It's all a projection of what you think.
Right. All you need is your interpretation of the Bible.
Yeah, or whatever. It
or
ain't
your idea.
The Bible is the one
Exactly.
that is currently running roughshod or
Yes.
In this country.
of it.
In this country.
In the Merca.
Right.
But
the colonial lands.
And
and other
colonized
Right.
lands. Let me use the
Colonized.
correct
That's
word.
it. Yeah. But it's not the only one that be acting like that.
No,
So
it's
clear.
not.
Well, we
It's
know
not.
that.
So
But the one that's doing it right now where I live happens to be the Bonnet.
right. So yeah, so we trump up and I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, no pun. We prop up people and carve out empathy for people who performed our ideas of God the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our favorite ideas of God. And we castigate those who don't live up to those norms. But God is in them.
Which, and I say this all the time. I say this to my mom, and it really stresses her out. Hi, Mom, I love you.
Hey, Miss.
Okay. So happy to be your longest running headache.
So,
But like so often what happens in religious practices is people make God in their image
Absolutely.
instead of recognizing that we are all made
God's
in
image,
God's image. And so
Right.
that person might look different from you, but they are not lacking in the image of God.
There you go.
It's a different perspective of God. It's like viewing, I do a lot of art viewing because that excites me in my spirit. And one of the things that I'm the person that walks like, I'll stand back and then I walk like I'm nose to nose, but like reasonable and safe with the art because I want to see the intricacies. And then I'm back up again, right? Like that's me. But in a sculpture, you can walk by the sculpture and see the front.
Yeah.
Right. And be like, this is the sculpture. As a matter of fact, I just ran through a picture. There was a picture that came from my memories when I went and saw the last Kehinde Wiley exhibit that was here.
Okay.
He has larger than life sculptures, right?
Yeah.
And they are so detailed and so intricate. And you could walk up on it and be like, oh, look at the anguish in that man's face. Look at the contortion of his body. He's in a monastic pose, right? Like you can do all that shit. And then you walk around the back and you realize, oh shit, he didn't forget the back.
Yeah.
Like the back speaks just as loudly as the front.
Yeah.
Right? Even the feet, because I have a particular sculpture, and I don't remember the name of it, but like it's a young Black man laying down. And so like front, back, yes, but like his hair, also. His bottom of his shoes, also. Like
Wow.
no part left behind.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's
Detailed all around.
you know, but that is also God, right? And so like you
Right.
spend so much time looking at the face of the sculpture of God that you forget that there are hands, there's a back, there are feet, and this is all obviously metaphorical,
Obviously.
but like, and all of these things, like these other parts are different perspectives. They might look completely different,
Right.
But
but they look exactly how they're supposed to look because they are God.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I think that's the risk we run when we make God in our image, is that exclusionary piece of saying, well, you don't look like me, so you can't possibly look like God.
And that's definitely one of the,
Exactly.
like, as bad as comparison culture is for us as individuals, thinking that we're less than, it's just as bad. And I would argue maybe just as bad. I'm going to stick with just as bad. It's just as bad because we exclude other people who don't conform to whatever social norm or, cultural thing happens to be on trend at the moment, right? And so like when we talk about people who have different body types, who have disabilities, who have different languages, different faith practices, different gender identities, like whatever it is, if you don't look like the thing that I expect, then there is something wrong with you. Like you can't just be different, you have to be bad, right? And so
or supernatural.
Right.
Yeah.
Like one or two, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't just be regular, like average. Either you're you have a disability and you're so brave.
Oh God, and you inspire me.
Right. You're inspo porn.
Because that's the only
Because
thing
you're
you could be good
existing,
for.
because you are.
Like you exist to make me feel not better about my life, but like
encouraged to do better because you're doing so much with less.
Right.
Which
That
is like,
is
no, they're
so
just doing
fucking
with what they
rude.
got. Like,
Just like
we all are.
so fucking just stop it. Don't treat people like that.
Oh, yeah.
But like you, right? It's either, what do they call it? It's the not the chosen one trope. It's the not like the others. There's a name for that where like exceptionalism. Is that the right phrase?
Yes.
Yeah. So either, oh yeah, we knew you were going to do that. Oh, you're the exception to the rule. You're the good one, right? And so you end up separating people into a dichotomy like that because they don't
that too.
Yeah. So you can't put them in a box to match what you think they should be doing. So if you can wrap your head around that thing being good, exceptionally, then they get to go on the exceptional podium. And if you can't and it makes you uncomfortable or it just doesn't fit the norms you like, they become garbage. And it's like, why do you need to compare anybody? Why do you can't just be living your damn life without your business, mind your business?
And more importantly, not only living your life, but allowing others to live theirs.
And minding your business.
Right. And I think that's the thing is that for the brain itself it's a meaning making machine.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we're always constantly trying to make sense of the world around us, trying to put things in categories and things, evolutionarily. Hopefully I'm not punching above my weight talking about this stuff.
We'll figure it out.
But evolutionarily is vital for our survival.
Yeah.
To be able to make sense of the world around us, because that's how we determine what's safe, secure, and what is conducive to flourishing.
Yep.
We need to make things, but when we take ourselves out of that survival element and put ourselves in another type of society where survival is not as
it's not lions, tigers, and bears.
Yeah.
Right. It presents some problems.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to our favorite narratives and our favorite ideas, and it's just another stage in our evolution where we just gotta bear with it and push past it and try to understand that there are people that exist outside of our narratives.
And I think that's it, right? So yes, we all make meaning, but I think understanding the mechanisms for how you personally make meaning is really useful, because then you can challenge, okay, yes, this is how I've made this mean, right?
Right.
Is that the only way that can be meaningful, right?
Yeah.
Like, does that actually mean that?
Does it mean what I think it means?
Right.
Does it mean what I think it means? And I think as a person who does a lot of work to not project, or do my best to not project my lens onto other people, that actually requires me to be, all of us, to be curious about, like, no, what was the meaning in that for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Ask that
Instead of
question.
assigning the meaning
Right.
based on what I heard and based on my own lens and systems and narratives,
Right.
saying, no, but what does that mean? But that is a type of vulnerability in that you may learn their meaning and it may challenge all of yours.
Right.
Exactly.
It will, largely.
That
There's
is
a good chance of that.
That is transformative conversation.
Absolutely.
Where
we let 'em be
goes
that.
both ways.
Yeah.
And so much of our thought, not just in religion, but just merely in any type of conversation, we go into conversation trying to dominate one another.
Mm-hmm.
Try to see each other's point of view without understanding that you are also on shaky ground and that your mind also can be changed and should be changed, especially if it's for the better.
Exactly.
But that's what it means to have good conversation, because it's a back and forth.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the difficulty with social media, is that we frequently go in there trying to if we go in to have conversations with people who don't agree with us, the energy is frequently combative.
Right.
Or even if it's not, it's perceived as such because that's such a norm.
Right. And there's no tone of type.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Or you walk into an echo chamber and everybody just keeps saying the same thing that you already think.
Yeah.
And so you're not able to actually move in any like meaningful direction.
Yeah.
Right.
You're just having what you already think reinforced, but again, not in a way that's challenging anything you actually think.
Yeah.
And you're not actually able to engage with people who think something different to even see what, because this is something that we know this about echo chambers, especially in the age of social media, where they feed you what you want. Even in Google searches, based on your prior Google searches, they'll feed you the type of information that they think you want.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so like, it's hard for you to know what it is that was said to somebody to make them think a thing. Right. And so you're like, how could you think that based on X, Y, and Z? And they're like, what are you talking about, X, Y, and Z? I don't know anything about X, Y, and Z. I saw A, B, and C. And you're like, what? Where's that? And like, you don't even see the same internet anymore.
Exactly.
Right. And so when we're talking about all of this, the best thing you can do is get off the fucking internet. Like just for a little bit. Take some time, go into or try to get into a different space and not try to change people's minds, but like talk to actual real life people.
Yeah.
Talk to people.
Like to real life people that you respect well enough to not just go keyboard warrior stupid on them. And the same, because frequently that energy just don't be there in person. It just don't.
That's true, but like I don't even know that you have to like trust people, right? Like so, and I know it's about vulnerability. And it's like, what do you mean you don't have to trust people? Trust yourself. And so I say this, no, truly. And I'm saying this because like, so for instance, I now hobbily work at a bar.
You do.
Which means I'm going to talk to different kinds of people.
Lots of them.
Yeah.
Connecting with humans, which is also, let me just preface my experience with social media by saying I only post things that will disappear in 24 hours because I don't understand otherwise. Like and I think I said this to you, Chris, recently, is that like social media posting feels like broadcasting to me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't actually, like, I would rather engage.
Yeah.
Right. And so I understand that it is broadcasting with the intent to engage. Right. And like, if you've built an audience, this is you could facsimile this in this space.
Yep.
But that is not what feels most. I'm an analog girl in a digital world. And so I want to have that face-to-face conversation. I also, like, as an intuitive, as a person that reads energy, I want to feel you.
Yeah.
Right. And I can't feel fucking comments. And
No.
so, like, and so being at a bar where there are a lot of people, some of whom are regulars, and so they actually feel comfortable in this space, right? And so like I'm learning them, but like ended up having a conversation with a person who is one of our regulars, and like it's funny because when he walked in, I was like, oh, that's a Trump supporter in my head.
Yeah.
And I think I'm right. I don't think I'm, based on a conversation that happened, because I think sometimes white people underestimate their own. Like they can't look and go, that's a Trump supporter. They'll look and go, I like this person. We're probably on the same page about everything.
Right.
No, bitch,
You're
you're not.
We don't have this luxury, but keep going.
Right. Right. And so the conversation is between 2 Black people and 2 white people, 3 women, 1 male, white male, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And the 2 Black women are like, we know how to navigate this in such a way that this does not get political. Even though it is we are talking about a very political thing.
Because everything's political.
Hello.
Right.
But like, we know how to do it. Bless white woman's heart.
Oh.
Truly genuine. She's a doll. But said something that was very true to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with.
Mm-hmm.
But she couldn't read the room.
Oh.
Right? And so, which prompts white man.
To start with the tirade.
Not necessarily a tirade. And I think that's the thing. You expect tirades from people, but like if you're actually just in conversation, you don't always get that.
Good.
Oh, you know.
Right? Like just allow people to exist in a space, and you will see how the interactions are different.
Right.
So like he didn't go on a tirade. He just happened to mention his opinion about something that 47 had said. And we all had a 6 eyeball bounce between the 3 of us. It was just like, bitch, that's not okay. And so then my brain, my Libra peacemaking brain was like, I can bring this home. Let me just finish this. Here's my big point. And we all agree. Right?
Yeah.
And we can move on. Later that day, he and I actually had a really good conversation about therapy and like what he is hoping to get out of it. And like how, like the mindset of approaching it. He was still a person.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, while we disagree politically, and listen, what y'all have to know is I'm black, I'm blackity, black, I'm black, right? And so like I'm very much often one of those people who is like, yeah, if I'm black, I'm queer, I'm a woman, like, I'm tall, I'm a big body Benz, like all these intersections. And I'm often like okay, listen, if you don't actually care about my safety or protection, I don't have shit to talk to you about. That's very much my like, what do you want?
Right.
Why are you here?
Right.
You can't do that at work. And so I was really grateful for that moment, because it was like, no, as much as you try to maintain other people's humanity, people who you see on opposite side of the fence, you also need to maintain their humanity.
That's the whole
Yes.
Because hating them is not actual, it's self-perpetuating.
Yeah.
Hate is self-perpetuating, as is love. And I'm like, humanity, choosing to view someone's humanity is actually the loving thing to do. So now he and I, we've only seen each other twice, and we got great rapport.
Yeah.
Right? And it wasn't about, here's what I didn't do. I didn't have to lie. I at no point shucked and jived.
Yeah.
Like I used strategic conversation to get everybody back to safe ground.
Yeah.
Right? But nothing was a lie. I didn't disagree with the shit I agreed with. Right?
Yep.
But it's like, okay, how can we find what is the purpose of this? What is our commonality here? What is the goal of this conversation?
Right.
Yeah.
Where are we trying to go?
Where are we trying to go? And once we find common ground, it's easier to find more.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can't actually influence people if y'all don't think y'all on the same ground.
Look.
That's not real.
That's very true.
And that.
That's very true.
That So yeah, leave the house.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Leave the house.
meet some-
Go work at a bar or
Meet
come
some-
to my bar. I'm not going to
Girl.
tell y'all which one it
Meet
is
some
because I really don't
actual
want all the options.
human. Meet some actual
Right.
human people.
Yeah.
exactly.
And I mean, this is something that I've kind of been tossing around and dealing with in different aspects, but it's so easy to just be in the house
Amen.
or to just be in the
Yeah.
same place as you always are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Especially when you pay to be there.
well, I mean, there's that.
You know,
Man.
not invested in this roof.
And sometimes it be costing a lot of money to be outside, but not everything costs money to be outside.
No, it doesn't.
Right?
Very
And
green.
so finding ways to not be in your most comfortable bubble all the time.
Yeah.
Finding ways to get outside and meet people who care about similar things that you care about, whether that's people who are unhoused, whether that's reading, whether that's
Right.
gardening, whatever, like the thing that you care about, like trying to find ways to connect with people who are not like intentionally going, I'm going to find a person who is not like me, but I'm going to go find other people interested in the thing I'm interested in outside of my house.
I recommend
Exactly.
silent book clubs.
Yep.
There are worldwide chapters and you don't have to read the same thing.
There you go. That's
There you
fun.
go. So there's something I posted a while back about why people don't change their minds and why facts and logic
Why people, not
Why?
white people.
Why?
Got it.
WHY.
don't change their minds.
I was like, that got
No, right? Very radical now.
You're right.
That radical.
Stick with me.
But the watch, they just can't. They rigid.
Incapable.
They
I
incapable.
mean, I got a book for you if you want to listen and learn
Nah.
about that. But,
I'm just-
finish your thought.
But no, why people?
Why people do not can't change their minds, or why is it hard to with just giving them facts and logic? It's not enough. There's this effect called the backfire effect. It's done by a study by a couple of people. I forgot the name. Oh, by Brendan Nyhan and Jason Reifler. And
Sounds white.
basically, when people encounter facts that challenge their deeply held beliefs, they don't just reject them; they often double down and they strengthen their original stance. We've seen that.
Absolutely.
And you've seen that. It's as simple as dating. You tell you tell your daughter, "Hey, that boy's no good for you." They're gonna double down. I know.
Literally did this with my mother. So yes.
So yeah, the backfire effect and all of this is in this post by this guy, by this handle called @Devin the Nature Guy.
Keep going.
So it's less about facts and more about how the brain processes threats to identity. So
Threats to your identity.
right,
Yeah.
Okay, keep
thing-
going.
This
We are
thing called our brain's reticular activating system
Too much. Keep going.
acts like a filter. It decides what we notice and what gets ignored.
Okay.
And when just like right now, when facts
Call it out. That was real time Christian's reticular activating system.
Demonstration.
What's
You're
important?
welcome.
what's irrelevant.
Demonstration for y'all.
I'm locked in. This is
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So when facts threaten our identity or our worldview, the amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm system, can perceive it as a threat in the same way that it does a physical one, triggering a fight or flight response. So like
Lion. Yep.
right. So all these things, all these ideas that you held dear that your mom and dad gave to you, and then somebody comes to challenge it. Now you have to rethink. So is this wrong? Did my mom was wrong? Is she full of shit? And now all of these things are challenging your personhood.
Yeah,
These
I
are
think
things
before that.
that make you.
Yeah.
And so like you get real defensive because you're not just defending your idea, you're defending the source of those ideas.
You're
Whatever.
defending yourself. You're like, but not
Right.
your. Oh, I'm defending myself. Your identity.
Your
who you
idea.
conceive yourself as.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, so basically reason takes a backseat in that sense. And the
Absolutely.
brain prioritizes
Footsie.
defending its sense of self. And so, of course, arguing stats or data at this point, it just makes things worse.
Pointless.
Yeah, it's futile.
And stats and data can be twisted to support any kind of narrative. Literally. So you can't just give out stats and data because they can look at the same shit and come up with a different conclusion. And
Hello, Bible.
that is very incompetent of you. But
Right.
it's
Which is,
the idea.
as a person that loves research and had to do a lot of it during my grad program, that is one of the things. Like I remember going, but you reach that conclusion
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
from that.
I'm concerned with your processing.
Right.
Mhm.
And for me, it's not like, yes, you're published. So somebody said this was valid. But I'm like, also, I think the other thing we have to consider is that like in the West, we have a very particular way that we validate knowledge.
We do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's very 5 sensory based, right? What can you see,
Yeah.
hear, smell, touch, taste? Like what is tangible? But that's not the only way of knowing.
No, it's not.
right? And so,
There's symbols.
More to it, yeah.
yeah, so we do all this like proof
But
that don't prove
shit.
Yeah.
The West is very materialistic in terms of how it processes things.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so it, of course, it then becomes fractured and fragmented, and everybody's in their particular silos, and they don't understand that things are connected.
Yeah. Right. Because you're missing the unseen pieces often.
Right.
Right.
You can't see them. You don't.
You don't value
Don't
them.
value them. That's it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
And so when a topic is highly political, like climate change, of course, trans rights or immigration, facts alone often fail because the people process that information through their beliefs, not outside of them. So that's what made me realize one time, it's like, man, you don't imagine you have a PhD. You will never be greater than the narratives that you tell yourself.
Stories you tell yourself.
You will never advance beyond those.
Correct.
And any new information will be filtered through the narratives that exist in your head.
Absolutely.
And so that's what made me be like, you know what, I can't be in this space because I don't jive with the prevailing narrative.
Yeah.
And so this is why arguing with facts and stats is always effective. It doesn't address the emotional or identity-based attachment to the belief. Instead, it can feel like an attack, making the person even more resistant to change. So how do people change their minds? They bypass defenses. You need to build connection and curiosity first, just like you were doing with the potential Trump supporter. You
Probable.
build
I feel confident in that.
Probable.
99.9.
alleged so-called.
I didn't even use a name. We can't just call
No,
him
yeah,
Trump.
Okay. We can call him a Trump supporter. I mean, yeah. I mean,
But he's a human. He is
he's
a
Trump
person,
supporter.
He's a
Trump supporter for
person,
sure.
Patron of your bar.
Yeah, he's a patron of your.
patron of my bar who probably most likely supports the current administration,
Yes.
at least in some ways.
At
Right.
least
In some ways. That's what I will say. I don't
Right,
know if
right,
he's
right.
100% on board. But.
So you build connection
I
and
doubt most
curiosity
people are.
first. Right. You build connection and curiosity first. Find that common ground. And apparently the most effective approach is called deep canvassing.
Who?
Deep canvassing.
That's what's
Canvas.
Yeah.
Canvassing. And you start by listening, ask open-ended questions to understand the perspective,
You have conversations?
share a person's story, right? But they bring it down for the people that don't understand the whole chunk of have conversation.
Yeah.
So listen, share a personal story, gently introduce new information that challenges their assumptions in a non-threatening way, and like using humor to disarm them.
Yeah.
This process helps the brain feel safe and
Right.
allows the RAS and the amygdala to relax and engage the prefrontal cortex where
Thinking
reasoning
part.
happens,
Yeah.
way up here. Because when new information comes to challenging, you're coming back here in the back,
Your limbic system.
Survival.
limbic system. Yeah. And so you're like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Survival.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So facts and stats do matter, but timing and delivery are key.
Always.
1,000%.
We talk about this. We've talked about this before. I want to say last
Mm-hmm.
season. What did you say? Something to the effect of, "Is it true? It might be true, but if
What
it's
else
not,
could be true?
not just what else could be true.
It might be true, but is it right?
Is it
Oh, yeah.
right?
Is it
Because if
right?
it's not
What is
helpful
right?
now, then it's not
Mhm.
right. Like, is that a
Yeah.
Appropriate, I think, is a better word.
appropriate?
Appropriate.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
It's
what
Right
I
is
said.
relative.
Because what I said,
Well, I think
is
that's
it
what he was
true,
saying.
Yeah.
But is it real?
Correct.
That's
There it
the
is.
hard word.
That's
that
it.
that was the
Does
phrase
it-
that
does
you used.
Yeah.
It's like,
this
yes, these are
ground.
facts and these are figures, but right now that's not.
Is it
they're not-
appropriate?
they're not
That's not
getting
going to do the
through.
job.
Mhm.
You're not getting through. You're trying to make a connection and like remind everyone that is involved in this conversation that we're all human. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
Right.
we are not the caricatures that have been painted on any particular website
Right.
or news
Correct.
site or anything. Like, these people are not caricatures. People are real human beings, and they have complicated ideas. And they have a very
Complicated lives.
they have
Right.
complicated lives, and we're all living in these silos.
Yes.
And the reality is we've all been fed certain types of information, and the only way to not be caught up in that is to talk to real
Yeah.
humans.
And social media really prohibits conversation.
It doesn't facilitate it at
It
all.
doesn't facilitate it, or it at the very least it oversimplifies it and distills it to our base emotions,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really allow for the changing of opinions or allow for an actual real time changing of the mind,
Yeah.
The
unless it's like a really extended common thread
Potentially. The only
People are engaged in
pushback
good faith.
I'll have to that is that I think it can do that.
Mm.
But when that happens, it's usually in person.
Yeah.
It's usually did you see this post? And now we're talking about it in a
But
conversational
very
back and forth as
rarely in the
opposed to in the
comments.
platform.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I've seen it
very
happen in
rare.
the comments. I was like, wow.
It's very
Yeah, it's rare in the comments.
Y'all are very evolved human beings. Like, because the way this was going,
Yeah.
I did not.
I didn't see that coming.
I was like, whew, well, thank God. The one
You do exist.
right.
Look at y'all being humans on the
Being
internet.
humans on the internet. So
I will say,
not,
I think you find that more on TikTok. And I'm not a
Right.
TikTok stan. I'm not a social media stan. But I think I mentioned this in a previous episode. After the whole ban, I was like, why are these people? And like my other best friend really goes up for TikTok like hard. And so I got on. I was already on, but I started eyeballing a bit more.
Right.
And I was just like, oh, and then you would go to the comment section and it is nothing like Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. Like it is largely like positive.
Mm.
Or if it's not positive, it's not destructively.
Interesting.
Right.
It's like people are saying something constructive. And I was just, and I'm sure this is not the truth of everybody's TikTok experience.
Because it feeds you whatever you want.
Yeah, but I'm new here, so I got a lot of random shit that I didn't want.
All right. I love TikTok. It
You know, like I feel like the algorithm works a little better over there, but
Oh, it did.
there's also this resistance to being super polished. And so you don't have to be
Right.
the best, the brightest,
No.
the smartest, the shiniest. You just get to be. And so then I feel like TikTok actually leaves space for people to be a little bit more human. Now they're going to try to sell you 17 things every other minute.
Yeah.
But like,
I mean, there's going to be a give and take on everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I think there's just more space. Like, I feel like I have seen more of the goodness of humanity, or even like watching something that's posted on both platforms, right?
Yeah.
On Instagram and TikTok. The comments that are on Instagram are very different than the comments that are on TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, so maybe if we have less of this facade, then what it actually does is open up the door for real conversation. Maybe it helps us regulate our RAS
Yeah.
in a way that we can come in a little less armed, right?
Right.
Right.
Because you don't feel like you're talking to the subject matter expert of TikTok,
because
right?
everything's not filtered, right?
Right.
When you're talking to a real person, somebody who's breaking down exactly like all the shitty things that their ex-husband has done to them.
Yeah.
And like,
well, that was on Instagram.
but I'm just saying, like when you have that energy, because that's
Yeah.
that is more the energy of
Correct.
TikTok as a
Right.
whole, as I understand it. I don't be on there.
So far.
The energy of TikTok as a whole, as I understand it, because I don't be on there. I'm gonna say it again. Don't come for me because I don't be on there. I listen to people who talk about it.
Barely on anywhere. If y'all listening now, y'all not coming for her.
If it ain't a book, she ain't on it.
I mean,
a book talk.
Book.
no, Bookstagram.
Oh, sorry, that's what I
don't be-
meant.
Yeah, I don't be on BookTok either.
If it ain't a book, if it ain't me, she ain't on it.
We didn't need that.
Sorry.
What's happened?
All right, I'm gonna cut
I
that
feel
out.
like don't cut
It's
it out.
fine.
Because at this point, it's ridiculous, and
But
people need to know.
there is a
But
degree
your collective
of,
gasp at that is.
It wasn't a gasp. It was a guffaw.
It was like
that made me laugh. Your face when you said it was funny.
I'm just
But
like,
yeah,
oh,
there's
kid in the room.
you know, when
Oh,
we're
gross.
talking
Mom
about
and dad
trying
are
to-
being weird.
we're talking about trying to be more vulnerable in a society that's kind of obsessed with filters and perfection.
Yeah.
Being, having the opportunity to engage with people who are not necessarily trying to debut their best self
Yeah.
is a little bit more disarming. I can definitely see that being true.
It is, right?
It allows you to not come in, guns blazing, so to speak.
And it gives you space to
Yeah.
be human because they're showing up as human.
Yeah.
Right? And so I
Right.
think in our world where we as a society tend to like repress emotion,
Mm-hmm.
that is a really welcomed and refreshing thing to like be able to just exist as a person.
Yeah.
Sad,
People
to
be in their
upset.
bonnets crying on TikTok. Like that's
That's
of
a
all,
thing.
right. That's real. Yeah.
I'm not
Or in
gonna
the
lie.
car.
I'm
remember-
more of a fan of Betty, who be making fun of them
Oh
people.
yeah. No, that's
She had
something
me
I
cracking up.
do that. Sometimes I remember in my early years of social media, and I would see the foolishness online, and I'd be like, like the one place where you have a chance to present your best self,
You put this up.
you put this shit out without thought, and I don't understand. People are struggling.
That was an assumption.
It
Without thought was an assumption.
Yeah, without what I thought, it is an assumption. It is, but it was just definitely just like, wow, like, you know, again, all my grandma's years of grandma training me in the drama department and like presentation.
Being trained to perform.
Like this is presentation. It's like, look, I get it, real me. I could be, but like online, I could be what I think I am in my mind and put that out there.
Yeah,
and like, you know, but. You know, it's because I know there's people that's judging me or things like that, and so it's like, it seems weird, but like in person and stuff like that, I feel like the relational dynamic can be different, but online it's like, yo, this is something we're serving up because I'm still in TV mode, Hollywood mode, you know. But TikTok definitely subverts that.
It does, which I appreciate.
I appreciate it. Yeah, now because like you said, it is authentic.
And I think that's it, right? Like needing this push to be able, like I think that is what we're craving, is being able to show up authentically in so many different spaces. And so like I think about like how emotion is often perceived, emotion or authenticity even is perceived as weakness, or it can be, right? If you're having a particularly vulnerable moment. And there's this one example. I don't know if I've given this already, and if I have, oh well, you will deal. This is reinforcement.
Right.
There in the former work environment, there was this young lovely girl, did a great job and ended up like leaving the company, not willingly.
Yeah.
And I ended up meeting up with her because that's my thing. Like, I just believe in connecting with young Black talent, and especially if you're sitting in a position of supervisory whatever. And she didn't report to me, but like I also have connections, and you know what I'm saying. Like I just believe in big up in each other, and this is not just true for women. Like I have done this with the Black boys, the Black men, young men that have come up. I just we got to support each other and use our social capital, to help each other leverage, right?
Yeah.
And so she and I went to happy hour, and she was explaining like how because I was actually worried about her the whole time because of who she was reporting to. And I just happen to know that person is not fully a person yet, and they really are still developing their own sense of identity, which can make them really difficult in moments when you are authentic and have a sense of identity. And she was describing to me a moment where she got so frustrated in a meeting where like she just compulsively started crying, but not like crying, just like my face is leaking, right? Because she was frustrated, she was angry because this white woman, was telling her some bullshit, and she was just like the struggle to like, how do I say what the fuck I need to say, but also like not get viewed as an angry Black woman, but also like it was a lot, right? And she recognizes that she's crying, and she says to her, I don't want you to perceive my crying as weakness. Like, I'm okay.
Right.
And the woman says to her, oh, but it is weakness. That got an HR call. But
but
this idea that like you showing up as human and having a full range of emotion
is weak.
And the girl wasn't wailing, or her face was leaking. She's wiping her face and was like, basically like, I don't want you to worry about that part. Like, let's continue in this conversation.
Right.
And then this woman jumps back with oh, no, I've judged you.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I've already done it. And I'm like, that pissed me off too. That pissed me. Oh,
white people going white.
Man, hold up. Especially the ones that think they are most at risk.
Yeah.
Because y'all think y'all allies and y'all got it.
Right.
And you don't always got it, beloved.
Just the level of lack of care.
For a white woman to stare a Black woman who is in an environment that is actively anti-Black and tell her she's weak makes me want to punch shit.
It does. I
decided I was going to be quiet.
It definitely did something in my body when
I'm so angry.
I was like,
so angry.
Okay.
Oh, and that's how I felt. But even in like, she handled herself so well. Yeah. And even after all of that, ended up getting let go for reasons that I think were dubious.
Some bullshit.
They were. And they I ain't gonna say too much because I'm not supposed to know everything I know, but
okay.
But it's dubious shit. And so it was one of those moments where I was like, wow, A, you just had the balls to say it. B, a lot of people think that way. Right? And so like this person is telling you, and like what would have been, I think, really affirming in that space is a validation of her humanity,
Yeah.
right? To say, well, no, do we need to take a break?
That would have been wise.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, do we just need to take a break? Should we table this conversation and return to it in an hour or whenever? Right?
A minute.
Right. Because
Right.
also recognizing this is a professional relationship, you may not want to open up to me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to ask that of you or require. I might give you space, but I would do that because I have different connections with the people that work for me.
Sure.
But you also you're not obligated to.
Yeah. And I mean, that right there is one of the reasons that so many of us, especially Black women, especially in corporate America,
Yeah.
or even nonprofit America like you were,
Nonprofit industrial complex.
him too,
She's a bitch.
we spend so much energy suppressing emotions.
Yeah.
Like professionally,
Yeah.
Right.
then we go home and do it because you don't want to be the angry Black girl, you don't want to be the nagging wife, you don't want to be, you don't want to be the problem, you don't want to be the one who's causing issues, right? Like there's all these labels that get thrown at you as soon as you show up as like a human. It's like you're not allowed to be angry, you're not allowed to be too sad, you're not allowed to be too happy because that can piss people off too.
Yep.
Like,
Crazy.
Nigga.
like, it's like you're not allowed to be at the end of the day.
Right.
And like no wonder people try to hide their emotions and pretend they're not crying and
Yeah.
pretend they're not upset or just, brush stuff off, ignore slights, ignore straight up attacks or, pretend they're not happening, whatever it is.
Project onto the wrong people. Because I think
Right.
like your experience is one like I stuff here, I stuff there, I stuff everywhere. Everybody don't got that. Some people are under so much pressure that if I stuff here, it's got to come out here.
Oh, you know where it comes out? With the one person who can't do anything. My kid.
Yeah.
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 Constantly. Me and Chris both have this conversation all the time. Like that stuff,
Mhm.
was it?
That's usually where it comes out.
You shove it in there, and for whatever reason, we've all decided, like tacitly, but without saying it out loud, that kids are not the same as adults as far as like what they deserve and how they deserve to be treated.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if my husband won't do what I want, I have to stuff it down. If my mama won't do what I want, I have to stuff it down because I can't control them. They're adults. But if my kid won't do what I want, I'm going to yell, I'm going to scream, I'm going to pick them up, I'm going to bodily force them to do what they want and tell them to shut the fuck up while I do it.
We
She
have
doesn't
not
mean
done
this
any of
literally.
these things.
This is the emotional
No,
process.
we have not
Do not
done-
call CPS. I am here. I am a mandated reporter. There is nothing of no concern.
We have not done anything.
There's no concern.
We as a society and the way we
Yes.
treat children.
Yes.
And this is the thing. You can see
Like
this.
we both felt the need
No,
to.
Yeah, we're like, wait a minute.
Hold on.
Okay, you're speaking real passionately. Like my niece is in danger and she's
I
not.
have not seen these things. Like
Right.
my father, I would have said something by now.
I certainly would have said something because I don't give a damn. I give plenty of damns about the little one.
I mean, you give damns about all of us. So
I
you
do
would've
give
said
damns about all. Yes, but that's why because I give damns about all of you.
something. I mean, the most we do is yell at Sydney, and it's usually when you've been trying to cajole, and then it's just like,
I was like, even then, that's like we have gone beyond the threshold of like processing.
right. And so,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, I'm not yelling at Chris.
Right.
I'm not yelling at Chris.
That's crazy. Have you tried? I'm just kidding. Please,
Once,
please
isn't
don't yell at Chris.
What?
I immediately shut down.
Yeah, he immediately
Right.
shut it down, and that's when I knew
So-
I needed to go to therapy because I was like, I don't yell.
Yeah.
This. What is this?
Yeah.
And then, like, once I dialed back, like, whatever the anger, it was in there. It had been simmering.
Absolutely.
But I had been stuffing and trying not to let it, like, explode on
olive.
anybody. Like a gnat. No, more like a turkey. You need a bigger cavity.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
That's a big ass.
Yeah.
I had a deep well.
Yeah, no, that's real.
Okay. I got shit to be mad about. Thank you, Solange, for that.
Okay.
Because once you told me that and I listened to that song, I was like, fuck yeah.
This is my anthem, Hope.
I got shit to be mad about. Damn
a
it.
lot to be mad about.
Mhm.
I got a lot to be mad about.
No,
I love when you interject a cuss word. You know I love cussing.
Mhm.
Works.
I got a lot of shit to be mad about. How about that?
Put it all together, God damn it.
But I mean,
I
like,
love it.
the way that we have been taught that our emotions are inconvenient.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a
Yeah.
friend who's going through a really tough time, and she's just been talking about like she doesn't have time to process her grief.
All right.
And
Watch the
like,
grief process your ass.
oh, it is.
Shit.
And like that was what we were talking about. She's like, I don't have time to do this. I'm falling behind at work and this, that, and the other. But I can't, I just can't.
Yeah.
I no longer to can, as you would say.
Do I say that?
You have said it and it made me laugh.
That's
And I never
crazy.
forgot.
I was like, was I 26?
You might have been. I remember random shit. But, you know, like just that reality of we don't get to be full humans.
Yeah.
But like that's not how humans work.
No.
But, and I think, I'm sorry, Chris, were you
Right.
about to say something?
I have something that I was going to say. So I've got to figure out a way to circle it back. But go ahead.
No worries.
Okay.
So, and I've actually said this to a couple of people recently. Part of the issue, and I'm about to get real political,
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, politicize.
is that we treat capitalism as if it is more than just an economic system. And so capitalism is literally predicated on end goal, end product, how much can you produce?
Yes.
Where are the fucking widgets?
Yes.
Right?
Right.
We take that then and apply it to each other and ourselves,
We do.
our relationships. That's how we get to counting up how many things did you do for me? Well, I did this many for you.
Right.
Oh yeah.
What do you bring to the table?
That ain't nothing but capitalism.
All the
What do you bring to the table? That's nothing but capitalism, masked as interpersonal relationship. That's all it is. It's about what is our end product? What have you produced for me?
Right.
And we often vulnerability is in the way
It's
because it's
inconvenient.
inefficient
Right.
and inconvenient.
You know how I feel about inefficiency.
I know how you are about inefficiency. I used to be the same way, and now I don't give a fuck.
I'm working on it.
You know,
I'm working on it because
you are.
It doesn't align with my actual values.
Exactly.
We talked about this at the beginning.
Yes.
It does not align with my values.
Correct.
The values that have been assigned to us, it
Yes.
aligns with that shit.
Yes.
I don't agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
That is damaging.
Exactly.
That is inconvenient to me being a human, goddammit.
Right.
Right.
And what it ends up doing, and I can speak this from my personal, is that so often, because I too was an efficient child, right? How can I be proficient so that we can get through all of this shit quickly? And I am impressive, bitch, right?
Gotta be impressive.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm performing well
All the time.
highly,
Right.
right? And what ended up happening is I remember, I've been through several rounds of therapy in my life. And the last one I went through, my therapist, as great as she is, she left me upset with myself and not her. Because she was just like, you have this habit of intellectualizing your emotions.
Yeah, me too.
Mm.
Because intellectualizing feels like an efficient way of handling it, right? If I can just understand it, then I'll stop it. That's not real.
No.
That's not real. People, when you know better, you do better. Who the fuck does that?
No, nobody does.
Nobody does that. People know plenty.
Shit.
People know plenty, and they're still not doing better because more than that goes into being human. Being human is more
Making
complex
decisions, yeah.
than widgets, right?
We're not
Than
fucking
outputs.
widgets.
And so, when vulnerability is in the way, right? I'm going to be really open right now. Y'all better not cut this out.
Okay.
We had an entire episode we threw
We
away.
scrapped the whole damn thing.
Oh yeah.
Because what needed to happen was vulnerable conversation between the three of us. And not like in a dramatic way. We ain't got no static, no beef, ain't
No.
never been.
Right.
But we just needed to be open with each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was crazy because we were talking about vulnerability this season.
We were.
Yeah.
And so then we had to have a vulnerable conversation about, shit, this is not an episode, is it?
Nope.
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
No, but we needed this conversation. So was it inefficient? Yes.
Highly.
Because and that really bothered that one.
It did.
Most of all, it bothered our efficient Maven.
Right.
Because then we had to re-record.
Yeah, to
but
re-record.
what we re-recorded
It was much better.
so much better,
Without a doubt.
right?
Without a doubt.
Right. And I think that's even like you said, the crave for efficiency can sometimes be a farce. Because
absolutely
if you look at even what Hollywood is pump out and all of that,
Yeah.
especially for its artists or in the music industry,
Yeah.
I think Michael Jackson, he took so many takes
Yes.
or whatever to get it done, but they gave him the space to do that
Mhm.
because of what the output would have been
Absolutely.
on the end time. So all that studio time, all that, conversations with Quincy Jones and all that shit and so many beats that Timbaland or Kanye produced that never got because
Yep.
it wasn't highly tuned and finely tuned enough. So we know as a society to make space for people and to be gratuitous in the time that they need to take to produce something when it comes to
Creativity.
creativity
Yeah.
and art. But it's we just don't I feel that we don't necessarily translate that over all the time
Yeah.
when it comes
Oh, we
to
definitely don't.
human relationships.
Which is crazy because
You should be over this by now.
No, which
Or
is
it's like,
crazy.
you know.
But that's how people treat it. And I have
Right.
it's funny, y'all. So I have a morning practice of like meditation and
Mm-hmm.
prayer and things. And one of the things, and I actually shared this with a client. And here's the thing: I've shared it with a friend, I shared it with a client. Every time I retell it, I feel like it's not as good as it is in my journal. It's like, so y'all just gonna have to get this watered down version of it.
It don't have
read
to
your
be as
journal,
good. It
baby.
just could be.
You say what?
Just read your journal.
Never. That's for me.
I'm sorry.
You gonna get what you're gonna get out of it.
Tell us what
Okay.
we're gonna do.
But the analogy that came to me, because the universe speaks to me in analogies, because that's what I understand.
Mhm.
Good.
Well, it also speaks directly, but this one I needed an analogy. And it was, I in transparency, I often struggle with the idea of being seen
Mhm.
because and I may have talked about this already, because of the fear of being misperceived.
Misunderstood and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Misperceived in so many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what came to me very clearly was, honey, the art doesn't worry about who's looking at it.
Damn.
And it literally laid it out.
I don't know how that could be better in your journal.
Well, because it's literally like laid out almost like a sermon. And so
Yeah.
it's laid out in such a way that was like, art is created for truly the creator. Like the art that
Yeah.
you feel, whatever, right? And there will be people that look at your art and walk by
Yeah.
because it don't resonate.
Right.
There will be people that they stop because it resonates, but they don't quite get it.
Yeah.
Right.
There's going to be people that come and stand and spend time with it because it's unfolding. It's a story.
Yeah.
And maybe they get something completely different than what you got, but they are valuing this
Yeah.
art,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And then the people that are like, oh, I see it. I love it. I get it.
Yeah.
Right. Or I see it. I love it. I don't get it. Right.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
there's all these different experiences because people have all these different lenses and it's never yours.
Yeah. It's
No one shares your lens.
the creative process really challenges your sense of control.
And I think this is
Yeah.
what the analogy, like going further, what it was like, you don't actually make art for the people walking by.
Mhm.
Make it for you.
And the people walking by don't determine the value of the art. The creator determines the value of the art.
Damn.
And beloved, you are both the art and the artist.
Well.
And I said,
Chiseling yourself out of something.
oh shit.
Damn.
But like that's what it was. And so
Right.
then for me translating that, if I am both the art and the artist, baby, sometimes art takes time to develop.
Art takes time.
It does.
It's a
And-
creative process. And some of it is an ongoing process. It is a constantly developing, like a living project, because I'm a human.
Right. I'm a human.
I'm a human. I'm a human.
But I mean, think about when you're thinking about like not being allowed to feel emotions. Like,
Mhm.
how is art supposed to make you feel nothing if the artist don't have time to put no feeling in it?
Or if the artist is trying to capture your feeling instead
Instead
of
of
their
their own.
experience.
Right. And so
Right.
we're talking
Yeah.
about like not having time to feel your own emotions, them being inconvenient. We talked about this earlier, like the idea, everybody's favorite two-word scripture, Jesus wept.
Mhm.
It's like Jesus wept.
Yeah.
Jesus flipped over tables.
He sweat blood too.
Like Jesus
Yeah, they
is
right.
having intense emotions.
Yeah.
What makes you think
You're above it.
Right.
you're not gonna have none?
Again, this goes back to this
Yeah.
idea of
Mhm.
othering God.
Yeah.
Yup.
The point that you can't identify with him to find validation in your own experience as a divine being.
Correct. Or even as a human being.
As a human being.
Because I think like
A
the
being.
purpose of Jesus was
Right.
to come down and not only experience humanity, but like demonstrate humanity
Yeah.
Mhm.
and the range of humanity.
Yeah.
Right.
And so like if Jesus get mad,
Yeah, I mean, and let's
I mean-
why is
talk
it not
about
okay
it.
for you?
There's
to
some
get
funny
mad?
stories about his frustration with the disciples.
Yeah, it is.
I'll just be like,
I get that because them niggas was dense.
Then he's like, "Are y'all serious?
Right.
This is the conversation we're
Right.
having
Tell me what this-
time.
all the
Right.
time."
Listen, as a high schooler, I felt so validated in my sarcastic nature because Jesus was so sarcastic in the Gospels.
Spicy,
Like
so spicy.
just and I loved it. I'd be
Snarky.
like, well, if Jesus can call you niggas dumb without calling you niggas dumb,
I can
Right.
too. I just need more words. That's what I'm learning.
I
yes,
remember, yeah.
maybe a different position of my heart.
Somebody said Jesus was teaching the temple or either teaching or healing somebody or whatever. He was on a crusade, revival.
Uh-huh.
And somebody came and said, "Hey man, Caesar wants to kill you," and he said, "You tell that fox, I'll be here today
And tomorrow. And the day after
then
that.
I'm going over here. Like you can come find me, nigga."
Right.
Like I was just like,
Catch me outside.
you're not.
By
You're
that.
not
That's what he said.
stopping
Jesus
the
said,
assignment.
catch me outside.
So look,
I mean, think about every time you see
call that
this.
nigga a fox.
Jesus does not like, and we were actually doing this before we started the podcast. I got in my feelings
Yeah.
about something, and I was like, let me turn. I need to find some music to like turn into like podcast Christian real quick. And Whitney was like, you don't have to do that. You can just be. You can take that feeling into the podcast because vulnerability. And I was like, fuck, I really don't want to. But okay.
Anger is creative.
Or just because you're humanity.
And so, but I like when you were, like Jesus wept. There's a reason that's the full sentence. The nigga sat down and let his emotions emote.
Yeah.
That's right.
Jesus, he went and prayed and he cried until he bled. That's a period. He didn't. The angels came and helped him out, but he just sat there and he kept crying.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He moved through it.
He kept doing, but he kept doing it till it was done. Though.
Yes.
He kept doing it till it was done. He turned over those tables and beat them niggas out the temple until they was gone.
You got to see it through to and listen, it's so funny. I have a client who I've been like, it's a pretty young client, we've been walking through this. And so that was like her homework assignment was like, next time a difficult emotion comes up,
Yeah.
just sit with it.
Instead of trying
I was
to
like,
pass it.
don't do anything with it. Just sit. And so we did like how did it go? And she was just like, it took a while. It was uncomfortable at first. Here's where I felt it in my body. I was like, fantastic. You're somatizing. I love this. Yeah. And then she was just like, and it was like intense for the first few minutes. And then it was less intense. And then she was like, but the crazy thing is it hasn't come back up. I was like, because it's done.
Yeah, process.
I was like, emotions, and I've said this on here, emotions have a natural start and end. But the problem is we're so busy trying to, oh no, emotions are bad. I don't want to. Like, you don't even want to be vulnerable with yourself enough to have this experience that you truncate it so it doesn't get to resolve. So it comes back up all the time so that you can resolve it.
Yeah. So
it's just like music.
Yes.
You stay up here, but you have to bring it back home to the one.
Yes.
You gotta bring it down.
Because if you don't bring it back, it just doesn't feel
resolved.
Done.
Yeah.
Right.
Feel resolved.
Yep.
So you used the word. You said you're somatizing. What is that?
When you actually feel emotion in your body.
Okay.
Which we all experience. We're not all aware.
This is my. I have become aware of it, and mine is usually nausea.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've become aware of it because it happened the other day when we were having discussions at work about certain bodies of water having to have their names changed when you can't recognize other people changing their names. But I was sitting in there and there was discussions about the fact that like the CEOs and people who are making presentations and shit in certain countries, they have to use the name of the body of water depending on the country that they're in. Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. And I was just sitting there staring at the wall like, I'm going to be sick.
Yeah, she texted me that. I was
I'm
so sorry.
Sick. Yeah. And then something else happened late. Oh, I needed to file one of these government reports and it was on the website and I sent Chris a picture and I was like, I'm going to be sick. And then I said it earlier. I'm going to be, I was like, oh, okay. Nausea. That is where this is. Yeah. My stomach is like, fuck it all.
I was like, but that also, so different for each individual, different feelings show up in different places. You are often experiencing disgust.
Oh, well, these are all the same feelings. But
yes, but it makes sense that disgust would make you nauseated.
These are all the same feeling. There, other feelings show up other places. But that's
correct.
So somatizing is the feeling of where
disgust. The feeling of disgust makes me nauseated.
Yeah.
The feeling of anxiety makes my chest tight. I feel it in my chest and my shoulders.
Yeah.
Right. This is why somatic work is about moving emotion through your body and out of your body.
That's why I wanted to back up and ask that. I heard you say the word, but I was like, I'm gonna let her finish her story.
I'm gonna let you finish, but I got a question.
Right. And it's funny because we're having. It's interesting because we have two different reactions to that same situation.
Yeah, we do.
She's more like, I can't believe this is happening. This is disgusting. And I'm like, this shit ain't mine.
Yeah.
And I tend to get dissociative because I'm like, I can't let you get me upset about this because you're doing real shit that I need to be upset about. I can't be focused and distracted by the absurdities that I don't have enough energy
What are you trying?
resist the atrocities.
Yeah.
And
That's real.
And I'm like, look, I get it. It sucks. All right. Well,
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah. But
No,
both
it-
experiences are valid.
Both are valid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then sometimes I'm looking at, do I need to be more upset about this? Because it's like, like maybe dissociation is not the greatest thing right now.
Yeah.
But it was very much, I don't like feeling anger.
Yeah.
And so I will find a way to discard what is like, okay, what is more important than this so that I can feel like I'm okay to let this go.
Yeah.
But sometimes I may need to sit with it.
That's interesting. I think I process all of this a little differently than
Yeah.
you.
Well, I mean, that's probably true for like everybody on the planet.
Well, that's true.
Well, yeah, how you
There's
process?
gonna be some, but I mean, this is like, and I think I've talked about the situation that happened on my birthday. My birthday was the day after Election Day, and like the both of them gave me what I needed in that moment because y'all, I cried the whole fucking morning.
Yeah.
My birthday was November the 6th of 2024.
And it's that every year.
Well, 2024. It was Wednesday morning and I cried the entire morning.
Yeah.
And the both of them gave me different things that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Chris knew I needed quiet, but I also needed to celebrate. And he was like, you ain't got to talk. And I literally we sat outside, but I wore my sunglasses into the building when I had to go pee. I wore my sunglasses the entire time we were there. But then he also had them bring me pancakes with a candle. Like, so like,
that's what a good husband does.
Right. And so then Whitney was like, when I talked to Whitney was like,
it's
where
your
you at?
Birthday.
Well, I mean, you did both though.
Yeah.
Right. You sat with me and we're like, yeah, this fucking sucks. And then you were like, this is how I feel about it. But that doesn't change how you feel about it. And I don't expect it to. I just wanted to share.
Yeah.
And then the two of them colluded and were like, you're not gonna sit in a house and be sad all day.
No.
You're gonna
It's
do
your
something.
fucking birthday.
Right.
Right, it's your birthday.
This is the
I'm
energy
not
they
gonna let
both
this
had.
nigga rob
Period.
Right.
my
And
wife's
so then
birthday.
they colluded to make sure that
As we do.
as you do, to make sure I had an enjoyable birthday. And like that, I think that right there, that is why community and vulnerability is so important.
Yeah.
Because I could have pretended I wasn't feeling what I was feeling, and they wouldn't have known what I needed in that moment.
We would have known.
Well, I mean, they would have known, but that's because we're already in community.
Correct.
But I was actually able to like be honest about it instead of trying to like pretend and then go home and cry at night by myself. No, I cried with both of them niggas there.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
And welcomed.
Yeah, it was like, because like I was like, yeah, like this shit is terrible.
Yeah.
So and like Chris didn't cry. I was the one crying.
I don't think I cried neither one. I was angry. I was less angry this time. But because it happened at the end, I was like,
oh yeah, no.
niggas gonna nig. This is what this is about. And
but all
2016, I was right
on
there.
12.
I was on 12.
I was in shock in 2016.
Yeah.
But like here's the
2024, I was still upset, but not.
Oh no, I was
much. Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
I wasn't surprised. I was just
disappointed.
I was so viscerally disappointed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in 2016, don't get me wrong, I was freaked out. I was.
Yeah.
But now I got a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
very different.
And everything feels more extreme and more like back then it was like, oh, this is bad for all of us, but this is bad for very specific groups of people and y'all are not thinking about them. And then it was like, no, y'all have fucked all of us and y'all really just don't.
Y'all don't get it.
And I'm
now
like,
they got a book this time.
And they put it out early.
Time, it was haphazard.
Literally like O.J. Simpson. Y'all remember when he wrote that book? I didn't do it, but if I did, this
yes.
Right.
But it's the prequel.
It's
like, this is what we're trying to do.
It's like he published his manifesto of a crime he was going to commit later.
Yeah.
And people were like, he's not doing it. He won't do it.
Oh, no. He published it afterwards.
No.
But yes, I got you.
Yes, it would be like he published that book before the murder.
And was like, here is my intent to murder.
Right.
And then people were like, he ain't do it. He won't do it.
He won't murder.
Right.
Yeah, like this racism I'm used to. Stupidity really incenses me.
Go together.
They do. They
Two of a kind. Perfectly together. They're two of a kind.
But it's like I didn't know the depths to which that was going to go. Where you voted for that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like again, I have this theory that stupidity is like you think it's the bottom, and then the bottom falls
drops.
Like there's more stupid things.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Like it has no bounds to go down, and so yeah, like but again, it's like even knowing that, it's still just kind of like, damn, like y'all really stupid. Y'all didn't read.
There are some
y'all failed an open book test. This is wild.
It was an open book.
Open book.
It really was.
And I'm just gonna say that was an open book test.
It was an open book test. Here's the thing. This is where, and listen, I'm gonna say this, and I don't want nobody to take this the wrong way. Sometimes trauma prepares you for trauma, and because I'm just sitting here like, none of this shit surprised me. I expected all of it. Spiritually, it's been in the realm, in like
the cosmos.
Yeah, like I've felt it for years, and so like I'm very much like okay, y'all keep breathing in and out. Just prepare yourselves. But like by prepare yourselves, what I mean is like learn yourself, ground within yourself. Because everything feels topsy-turvy because there's a lot of externalized power and control. Bring that shit in house because that's all you got.
That's all you got.
That's all you got. And I know that's a tall task. That's not an easy thing to do. It's a simple thing to say, not an easy
especially
thing
when everything in the society has been externalized for you.
It has, right? Because that's how we've all been trained. But like, I think for me, difficult childhoods help you realize that like when I can't control shit, I can hear the things I can control. Right. And I think there was some point, like even in my adolescence, where it was like, I don't even feel like I can control me. And I feel like these adults supposed to be able to control themselves. And they're worse at it than I am. Yeah. So like, let me figure this out. Right. And it took a while, but I feel like I've been primed for this my whole life. Sometimes obstacles really teach you how to maneuver over obstacles. And what I'm learning is everybody ain't had the same type of obstacles. No. And people are struggling. And it's valid.
And they call us snowflakes. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
You know. Who and what I will say is when I said they, it's different from you. Right. When I said they, I was not referring to a group of other.
No, you weren't.
Right.
So that I'm clear.
But I mean,
people that are listening.
That's everybody.
Yeah.
Literally.
It's
a large portion of this population. I won't say it's everybody. Because I think there are, at least in the circles in which I run, this is a common reaction. And not necessarily because everybody's traumatized, but I think when your focus isn't on this realm, or like when you see beyond the action of humans to larger concepts, then perspective shifts a little bit.
Sure.
And so like, I don't know that everybody's struggling in the same way. Because the only thing I'm struggling is prioritizing preparation. That's the only thing I'm struggling with. I'm not like, I expect niggas to nig. And by niggas, I don't mean black people.
Yep.
Not in this context.
Right.
Nope.
The same. Co-sign on
them
that.
too, though. Some of them.
Hey.
Some of them.
Hey, and they will, and then they shall, and
they have.
They must.
And they have. They have, and they continue to will.
That part.
But yeah, no, like when
Sorry.
What just happened?
I didn't even catch that. What?
I didn't either.
Oh, that was an old song.
What did you sing?
By Daryl Coley.
Sing it again.
Is it I wish I must bless your name.
That's what I was referring to. Yeah. You caught it. Okay, great.
Y'all are funny.
That's exactly what, like,
I miss both.
Right.
I miss both.
That is a song that lives in rotation in my head.
I love Daryl Coley. He was great.
Daryl Coley was amazing.
You remember he did that national anthem on the Simpsons?
Yes.
That is so ridiculous. That is such a specific thing that only certain people of the population were actually going to understand what was happening.
Like, y'all had a black writer in the room.
They went for it.
Yeah, they went.
And I can appreciate, because even I didn't grow up watching The Simpsons. Whatever, make what you will of it. But I saw that and was like, oh wow, yeah, that's Daryl.
It's Daryl.
That is Daryl all day.
Daryl too. When
Sunday comes, oh my God,
Sunday comes, my troubles come. As soon as it gets here, I'll have a new song. Where was ridiculous. Girls.
Yeah.
And he hit the, I won't have to cry no more. And he hits it. When my favorite is the when the stair steps.
Yeah.
And the organ is just Sunday. And that's the opening.
Yeah, that is the opening.
The opening.
You talking about niche?
Takes so long to get to the just to behold his face.
Oh, I'm gonna behold
It takes
his face.
17,000 miles
For saving grace.
to get to that.
I forget that there's more songs.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there's more.
Not gonna lie.
Because it don't matter, to be honest.
Yeah,
We just need more opportunity. There came a shaking, there came a knocking, and a rolling.
And all night Saturday, there was no activity.
They thought Jesus really had died. But on Sunday, shout my troubles roll.
In the part where, man, Jesus went down to hell and he got the keys and he came back
with all power in his hands.
Yeah.
Oh, welcome to the Church Kid Show.
So I did a praise dance to that song.
Oh,
Oh, what?
my
Yeah.
brain abused.
It's so long.
Baby,
I didn't do that.
song is
I didn't do the intro.
Man.
So I'm not gonna say a name.
Okay, yeah, so I heard it right.
Oh, okay.
She did the intro.
Oh, bless her heart.
She-
She was
girl,
a
she
praise
killed it.
dancing something.
I
wasn't
think
she?
she
Yeah, I was like, what? With your knees? I was like,
Oh yeah, no.
I
So
didn't even know.
you want to talk about praise? So what's the name? It's a Kirk Franklin. That angels bow down at the Hosanna.
Hosanna.
Is that Kirk Franklin?
That is Kirk
It is.
Franklin. Hosanna. So Hosanna
Worship you.
is the song I danced to in a knee brace.
Nice.
So because of the way, like our culottes, those huge pants that look like dresses,
Yeah.
you couldn't tell I had it on. But basically, I went up first because that allowed me to be on the stage and they could run in. So they helped me get on the stage and I did the let me hear you make some Holy Ghost crazy. I did that part and then they ran out
Right.
when the music dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Which allowed me to dance, but like I basically had a stationary like
Yeah.
they worked it out for me. Shout out to Stephanie. She did that. Yeah, she
Really?
did
You
that.
were a praise dancer. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did it for a little while. I loved it.
That's awesome.
I had so much
That
fun.
tracks.
I did praise dancing. I did mime.
Oh, I remember.
Didn't know that.
Listen, as an adult who is also a theater kid, some of the church activities are hilarious in hindsight.
Mhm.
Church pantomime is the most ridiculous shit. Listen, yeah, okay, it's fun because pantomime is fun. However, it is the most externally ridiculous thing. So those of
is. It
you
looks
that like did not grow up in Black church, those of you who grew up in Black church, you might have some nostalgia memories as we have walked down memory lane. But for those of you who didn't grow up, I'm sure you tilted your head like a confused puppy. And what I'm here to say to you is that is appropriate.
Yeah, but no,
That shit was weird.
put on the full face, full white.
They was in
makeup,
white.
Black eyes, black mouth.
and black mouths,
Which
making
is-
huge faces. Like if you remember K&K,
K&K mine.
K&K
Oh,
mines.
man.
that was who started it. They were the black guys that were on BET.
Oh.
That was who started it because they could like pop lock.
Yeah.
And while they mimed, they were everything. Oh my God. And so then there were mime ministries.
Jabberwockies for Jesus.
They were the Jabberwockies for Jesus. Okay.
Nice.
We loved it.
Man, black people just do anything.
Black people will literally, they be like, I need to express in the church.
I just saw somebody praise dancing with cymbals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Like he's a cymbal guy. Actually, he was on social media and he was like doing
Which ain't nothing but some band major, like drum major shit.
Yeah, and he was
Yeah.
just
I mean, we
We be like,
It was-
infuse it with the Lord.
I mean,
right. And he-
It looks, I'm sorry, Black pantomimes in church looks preposterous. And
I love it.
Listen, very amusing. If it touched you, it touched you. I love that.
I mean, so the song that I remembered specifically doing was "Don't Cry," which is another.
That one.
Why do you cry?
Oh, yeah.
He has risen.
Yeah.
That one.
Mhm.
We cried every time we did it. We'd all, because my sister
Well, no, I was like, it gets very emotional.
my
Right.
sister was
praise
doing,
dancing.
my sister did that one with us.
Got you.
And we
Come on, why
all
did you cry?
were
'Cause he died.
boo-hoo. Well,
I
no,
didn't want
he's
him
not
to die.
dead is the point.
Yes.
That's you know
He
that.
died though. I saw the suffering. I wanted to. Can I again? Can I?
Right. Let me have my
My
emotion.
emotions.
Right.
Can I have my human? You better bring it back. Can I have my human emotions?
The answer is no.
The answer.
No, because he's alive.
The
Be
answer-
happy, bitch.
But
He's
listen,
alive.
it was a present.
It was a process.
Let me present.
Because I thought he was dead.
He seemed very dead for 3 days.
I mean, we put him in a tomb and wrapped his ass up.
And put a stone in front so he couldn't come out. Y'all put
And sealed it.
Syrians.
They sealed that shit up. Like,
Outside.
why would I not cry? That would be weird.
Like, I'm literally here grieving. Y'all gonna tell me he not dead? Last time I seen him, he was.
Right.
This is new
But
information,
he's not
bitch.
dead. What you mean? Where is he?
Give me transition
Right.
time.
Take me to him.
Right.
To the king.
Where you at?
And then now I see he not dead. And I'm like, oh shit.
Did somebody steal my Jesus?
Now I'm confused.
I'm worried.
Still emotions to process.
And I see it. Yeah, some people saw it and it was like, he's a ghost.
I thought they thought somebody stole his body.
That was the
They
first
did
one.
somebody
The
stole
girl
his
in the tomb.
body.
Oh, and then by the time he
Yeah.
showed up,
When he showed up, they
and he
thought
was
it
just like,
a
no, stick your finger in my hand.
Right. He
Magic
like,
tricks.
Yeah. Going through the room with
His
his
hand
eyes
in his
closed, and they
hand.
thought he was a ghost.
I mean, that's ghostish behavior right there.
I mean,
You gonna show up in a room with closed doors and windows?
hey y'all,
That's ghostish.
check out this stigmata. Go ahead, test me out.
Now we're reverent.
How y'all like me now? That's literally what they said about the happy.
Yeah,
Like,
check out the stigmata. Yeah,
it was like that shit
mean,
was
that's
not. He
Thomas.
did he tell Thomas to stick his finger
I'm
through the
just saying,
fucking
I
hole?
won't
Yeah.
believe until I stick my finger in his side. That's what
Yeah.
Thomas says.
At time he was like, bet.
Here you go.
There you
Right.
Dig around, nigga.
Nigga, that is my spleen.
I never really thought about the logic of that. Like, there's a hole there, so
There's
he's
a
not
hole?
leaking.
There's a hole.
Mhm.
There's a hole inside.
Because I can't imagine Thomas is like, yeah, let me stick my finger in that bloody ass hole. Like,
Well, I'm sure the blood had
It's a
clotted by
glorified
then.
body and all that. Yeah, cauterized.
Okay, yeah, all of that.
sure,
Because he had been dead.
he had been
He
dead,
was
but
previously
The
dead.
resurrection
Like that.
process
Oh my God,
cauterized the
Jesus is
wounds.
first zombie.
he's
that
the
recorded
first
his
zombie.
Oh,
Damn. But he was a good zombie.
And it was Thriller.
he's a zombie who heals.
A healing zombie. See, y'all out here scared of zombies, and some of them healing. That's crazy.
All
I'm
right.
reading about a book about necromancy and the interesting things that you can do with real-lived things.
What's crazy is that for some reason that made me very hungry.
Talking about necromancy?
I don't know, but I got very hungry in that moment. Maybe it was two separate thoughts, but maybe I just woke it wrong.
They were just simultaneous.
I be missing body cues, so I must be starving.
You know what? We started to soft talk about tacos, so you probably is hungry.
It's time. It's taco time. Okay.
Same.
Taco.
But yeah, so
What
how do
we
we
talking
bring
about?
this home?
I don't know.
A path towards emotional honesty.
There we
There you
go.
go.
So
Yeah.
how can, with the different pressures, right,
Yeah.
to be stoic, to be, and like,
Yes.
can I just plug a stoic for a minute? Stoicism gets a bad rap.
Okay.
I think stoicism,
I have
people,
a coworker who's going through that phase.
like stoicism, people like think of it as like, oh, stiff upper lip, like you don't show emotion, blah, blah, blah. I actually, listen, I had to do a little, because I was like, no, this doesn't feel right. And so I had to get me a little definition
Yeah.
as it pertains to emotional expression. So stoicism, as it pertains to emotional expression, emphasizes maintaining inner tranquility by managing emotional responses rather than suppressing emotions altogether.
That's
It encourages
Interesting.
individuals to acknowledge their feelings but not be ruled by them, focusing instead on rational thought, virtue, and acceptance of what is beyond their control. Stoics aim to cultivate resilience by practicing mindfulness, reframing challenges, and responding to emotions with wisdom rather than impulsivity.
yes.
Wow.
And what that has been distilled down to mean is like, it's
You
often
just
that
don't show any
suppression.
emotion.
Right.
Right? Like, and people define their suppression as stoicism, but
that's
that's
not
not what
what it is.
stoicism
That's what it is.
is.
Mm.
Right? And while I'm not going to say that rationality is the only way to handle
Well,
emotion.
it gave you a list.
It did, but all through the filter of rationality. But like sometimes it's safe to be irrational because irrational shit has happened, and like it requires a big
Precedented
response.
times and whatnot.
And I will also put in a
Maybe
plug
feel
that like
though.
the need for stoicism, right? So the idea is that you're calm externally, you're doing the work internally, even when people frame it as suppression, right? the overarching thing is we want you calm externally.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not always appropriate.
No.
No.
That is not always appropriate. Sometimes you have, and that's very European coded.
I was about to
Yeah.
say.
You know?
That feels incredibly colonial.
It is. Whereas so many indigenous cultures are
Exuberant.
Expressive.
incredibly
exuberant.
expressive, right?
And
And
yeah.
that's also part of somatizing is expressing it and getting it out.
Right, dancing it out. And like, it's funny
Moving it
because the
out.
whites, especially the spiritualists, are just now turning the corner trying to
Yes.
understand the physicality of the spiritual.
But they're still really this
it still feels
you're
very-
rationalizing
Right.
it when certain things cannot be understood with ration alone.
Yeah.
That is
Right.
one type of validation. It is not the only thing. Oh, don't get
don't
me
disagree.
started.
I
Because
don't
as we work towards decolonizing therapeutic practices, I am.
You got to decolonize every goddamn.
You have to decolonize and deconstruct every fucking thing. And if you haven't started already, baby, I encourage you pick one.
Pick something.
Pick
something. But all that to say, Stoicism, as it's often colloquially used, is not what it actually is.
Correct.
This is not
Right.
sufficient. So, not to say that everybody needs to be stoic, because I don't think that's true.
Right.
No.
But if a person is stoic and they are not suppressing and they are managing and processing their own emotions, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I have like I said, I have a coworker friend. I don't know if he's listening or not, but I I have a friend that he's just recently, just talked to me about stoicism and his interest and his drawnness to it. And I love it for him because it is his way of grappling with the experiences that he had in his own life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's valid.
I don't want to delve into it, but it was a lot. And I've even felt for him because of the amount of loss and the times he's felt at times in his life that he's had to start over or find his sense of self. And so for me, whatever it takes for you to like stay on this side and like work out your soul development and not like check out prematurely
Yeah.
physically,
Absolutely.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I've had to do it.
Absolutely.
And now that you hear that definition of stoicism, it's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's for like that's and what I've called dissociative in terms of what I do. I think it was also that
Yeah.
I mean, there could be
stoicism,
combinations.
where it's like I can't dwell in this emotion for long. So either I work this out, or find a way to produce it, or find a way to prioritize something different.
Which I don't know is necessarily the stoicism that I was reading about.
Gotcha.
Because that is still
Yeah,
dissociation.
dissociation.
And
There you go.
stoicism and dissociation are not necessarily, they don't have to go together,
Right? They don't.
right? Like
Yeah.
stoicism is actually about facing it head on
Right.
within yourself and not externalizing or pivoting to something else.
Gotcha. So let me go a little bit deeper into what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So when I say, for example, 2016, we talked about it a couple of episodes or whatever. I was angry, and I had to wrestle with, okay, why am I angry? Is this a good emotion to have? And
That's
what
a
can
good
I
question.
do? Yeah, like, is this a good emotion to have? What can I do with it? What can I control? And while, yes, that is what's going on over there, but what can I do to be a part of the solution instead of feeling powerless and staying in this angry state where I don't have control over anything that I'm doing?
It sounds like you dubbed anger not a good emotion.
At least for that, because usually with anger, you could do something with it. I don't label anger as a bad emotion outright.
Right. But no, in that scenario,
But in
it
that
sounds like
scenario,
you called it bad.
right. I called it not useful
Got you.
because I was angry about something that I couldn't necessarily change.
The therapist in me has questions. Okay. Because then I'm just going to say it because this might be helpful. So
Yeah.
if it's there, it's useful.
Yeah. And
If it's there, it's useful. It wouldn't be there if it wasn't
Right.
useful.
And I was thinking that because that's something that my therapist has been getting with me.
Yeah.
Just talking about this, talking about, when you said it didn't feel useful, right?
Well, it didn't feel useful for me to stay there and not channel it towards something
Right.
where
Right.
where I
And
could actually.
No, I hear you.
So the way I think about it is like there's a certain amount of an emotion that allows you to be functional, you know? And so I'm wondering if for you mean like you were so angry that you couldn't function? Is that what you mean?
Right. Yeah, it was affecting me. I felt like physiologically,
Yeah.
where I was like, I can't.
It's an emotion.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, right. It was, but in a way that I felt like, man, like I'm not thinking clearly. This is not where I want to be.
Yeah.
And what can I do about the situation that I'm angry about, such that I cannot be in this space where I can think clearly, where I can have some direction for my life and more purpose beyond, oh, I'm angry about this. And I just stay angry and like nothing gets done.
Yeah. So like when we're talking about removing some of those masks, sometimes you just got to let them go and like recognize the fact that, hey, if you're feeling resistance to letting something go, you might need to, what's that about?
Yeah. Do some inner reflection.
This is a store. Right. Why do I feel that? What do I think about this store beyond just that it has things that I need?
Yep.
Be vulnerable and honest with yourself.
Yeah. And question, right? Like I think in activity, if you will, do y'all like journaling activities? Some of you do. I would say do this. This is something that I have done before, is like write down your roles and identities, right? Like, because the thing is we not only become over-identified with like things, we become over-identified with roles. The issue is not the thing or the role. The issue is the over-identification.
Right.
And so in dressing the over-identification, you need to know what you identify with and as. And so I would encourage you all just to take a moment and write out that shit, right?
You are
right.
worker. You are.
I love Starbucks. I love, right? Like I am an eldest daughter. That is one of my roles. We detach from that as needed.
Girl, you know?
Right. Like write down all the shit that makes you feel like you, right?
Yeah.
And then just take some time and sit with it. Like I'm not telling you to go through and like pop all the rubber bands that hold you together.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I didn't get that.
That's fair. I could finish sentences. That feels important. But like just awareness is the first step.
Yeah.
So becoming, and even like that list doesn't have to be static, right? As things pop up,
right,
you can add to that list and be like, oh shit, I think I might have put this as part of my identity too. Like bad bitch, that is a part of my identity.
Yeah.
And on the days in which I look bummy, it is hard to release the identity of bad bitch when I'm not presenting as such, even though I know I intrinsically, I am always a bad bitch. You know, and so like you gotta make adjustments to like, what am I holding? And is holding on to this actually causing me more issue than releasing?
Right.
Yeah. So that's all. It's just a fun little exercise. It's not that fun, but it's a little exercise that you can do. I will say one of the things, that was one of the reasons, I think I told y'all that, why like I cut my hair, is that I realized I was like, had been big hair Whitney for so long.
Yeah.
And granted, my hair was less big due to health issues and different fighting COVID multiple times. And I lost a lot of hair. And I was still holding on to like being long hair, big haired Whitney. And I was like, cut it.
You need to cut it.
Who are you if you don't have the hair? Turns out I still have hair. That's crazy. And I'm still a bad bitch.
Look at that.
It's amazing.
So beautiful.
Like it looks even cooler and I don't even have to try and I can't even throw it in a bun. I mean, I can, but the bun looks crazy, y'all. But like, it's just, and I don't really have bad hair days.
Ta-da.
It's amazing. Sometimes
it can do for you.
Releasing. Sometimes you get the thing that you actually need. And like at the end of the day, I'm not my hair, so it can do whatever it wants to do. And that's just one example. But a lot of these identities, right? Like I'm a liberal. White people love that shit. I would question y'all to define that.
Honest. In the technical term, we're all liberal because we're in a society, in a neoliberal society.
Well, that's
but
fair.
They don't define it like that.
They don't.
No, they do not.
They don't. But like I would, you know what I'm saying? Just pay attention to the things you're identified with.
Right.
And in what ways is it blocking you from your own humanity and other people's?
I would like to add to that. Just when you're looking at it and reflecting on it, don't just write down like a word, like eldest daughter. Maybe write down what that means to you. Because like the word liberal, the word conservative.
Yeah.
What do you think
that
means? Or even the word Christian, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
There are a lot of things.
Evaluate.
There are a lot of words
Sorry.
that we have ascribed certain
Yeah.
meaning to. And sometimes when you dig into not just what you are assigning to it, but I mean, check the dictionary just out of curiosity. Dictionary is not always how we currently use words.
Well, and I don't necessarily think that's necessary. This is a private practice. So
Well, I say,
make sure you're using your word like out externally using words.
What does it mean to you?
Yes, and I think that matters most.
Well,
how have you been taught to think it means?
Yeah.
To you? And what could it mean?
Correct.
To you now.
I guess I say this because sometimes, like you just did with Stoic, there are words that in practice we use a specific way. And so, yes, it means that to you.
Yeah.
But if you look at it's like, oh, wait, it's not just suppressing shit. Oh,
Yeah.
Interesting. You know?
No, that's why I say it's important to know what words mean.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if you're the person writing it, yes, right. I think that is a helpful addition. Like, write out what you mean by it, but not for the purposes of aligning your meaning to the meaning.
Oh, no. Not, I guess I didn't mean aligning, but it's just another step on the path to like awareness.
Yes.
Because here's one reason, because sometimes the words we use, we don't realize they don't mean to other people what they mean to us.
That's
that
real.
word you use, I don't think it means what you think.
I don't think that means what you think it means.
Saying that word.
Right. And so sometimes that can be helpful. For instance, if you're in mixed company and you say, I am an X, and people are like, ugh, or they give you like you see the pupils grow or people back up. And it's like, why would you behave that way? And it's like, didn't mean what what it means to me doesn't mean that to you. I wasn't aware, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Which is why conversation is awesome.
Oh my gosh, go outside.
Oh, maybe don't cling so tightly to labels. Like, it's okay to have them, don't cling.
And I think that's just to even circle back to what we were talking about before, just how your over-identification with roles and your ideas, your narratives, can lead to the dehumanization of the self.
Absolutely.
And the others. And in so doing, we end up calling the things that are good about us evil. And end up construing the negative potential and the evil things that we do, or the bad habits we do, and we label them as good, productive. There becomes a role reversal when we live in service to ideas that we do not identify with.
Yeah.
Like when we really take and stack, I don't really do that shit.
I don't really think that.
But
I don't really believe that.
I don't really believe that. I don't embody it. I may believe it, I may think it, but I don't embody it.
Two different things.
And there's a lot of people.
Yep.
Church example, there's a lot of things that people assert to or assert themselves as believing, but they do not embody.
No.
Oh, so much.
And
so
and
much.
you have to get to the grips to how you embody shit to get to the grips of what you honestly really believe.
That's real.
And invest accordingly.
Yeah.
Or work to adjust the belief.
Or
divest. Yes.
If it's an appropriate belief to have and understand that you are not embodying them, then fine.
Yeah.
But if it's a toxic belief and you've seen that how toxic it is when you communicate it to others, maybe I need not to hold on to that.
Yeah.
Because I've now evaluated the doctrine and that don't hold up to snuff. Right. That don't meet real life.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's great. I think also the best way to assess what you actually believe is to assess your behaviors. Because you will act in alignment with what you really believe and not what you want to believe.
Right.
Or not what people have tried to convince you of.
That too.
Yeah.
Because those convinced against their will are of the same opinion still.
Yeah.
Just because somebody told you that being a racist was bad doesn't mean you're not one.
That part.
Not all racists wear hoods.
Most of them don't. And that's always been true. That's not just true now. That has always been true.
Just go look at a picture of Little Rock 9. Anywho, those niggas didn't have on any hoods. They whole ass face in that camera.
They did, shouting at children,
screaming and spitting at children. Don't you feel real smart and
Yeah, but I think that's this. We've talked about a lot.
We did.
episode.
We ran
Kept
the
landing, and
gamut.
then we aborted mission and went.
We made a
So many things.
we made a round. We made a round.
It was too many clouds. We couldn't land yet.
Yeah, visibility was low.
Visibility was
Low
low.
visibility,
Couldn't
but I
find
think
the
we can make
runway.
it around now.
I think we can.
So here's what we'll say. Thank you for joining us
Thank you.
on this journey to being vulnerable and dropping the masks.
Both individually and collectively.
Indeed. If you want to share with us your journey, if you have thoughts that you'd like to share, please do so in the comments on whatever platform you're on, and or on our social medias, which are in the doodly-doo.
The doodly-doo.
The
outro, guys.
show nuts.
And the show notes. The show nuts?
Show nuts.
What's happening? We need tacos.
Show notes.
We need cacos.
Tacos. See? We need tacos.
Show
This is
notes.
all bad. It's all bad.
Show nuts and cacos, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Oh, I'm hungry too. I just haven't been saying nothing.
Yeah, all I had was this mantra.
That's it. I'm the only
I
one
said
who
that
ate.
at the beginning.
I got some nuts. Who's dying?
Well, shit, I got
Show the nuts.
almond slivers.
Show nuts. See, that's why I said it.
Stop saying it.
That's why I said
Why do you keep saying it? What is happening?
Oh, I
it.
know.
I'm owning it.
Here.
That's funny.
Thank y'all for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Holla.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Uproot Project podcast. We hope you found fresh perspective and continue to make space for real growth. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcast. You can follow us on social media at the Uproot Project Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, or visit us at www.theuprootpodcast.com for more content. To contact us, feel free to drop us a line at hello@theuprootpodcast.com. Until next time, keep living fully, learning openly, and loving deeply. We'll see you soon.